such a controversial opinion of mine because I know you all hold me in such high esteem, and I'd hate to hurt any of you with my personal opinions, and not to be socially taboo here, but if you don't have OCD, you shouldn't call yourself OCD. I haven't been very open about my mental health on this channel just because I didn't feel it was really relevant to any of the discussions I was having, but in the cocktail mixer that is my mental health, OCD is a key ingredient. So what is OCD? OCD stands for, well, obsessive compulsive disorder. A person is obsessed with certain fears or concepts and engages in compulsive behavior in an attempt to alleviate the anxiety caused by these obsessions. But I thought OCD was for people that were perfectionists. Not all obsessions revolve around cleaning and hygiene. Yes, some people are obsessed with cleanliness, disease prevention, and that just right mentality when organizing things. But there are many other obsessions that cause people to act out compulsively. Some people have a fear of death or bad omens. Some people have an obsession with unwanted or sexual thoughts. It really depends on the person. So if they're not always a person obsessively cleaning, what other compulsions might there be? Of course, there are people that compulsively clean themselves and or objects, but there are other compulsions such as associating good and bad with certain numbers, letters, and patterns. Some people repeatedly check things like the stove or if they lock the door, and some people have specific phrases they repeat in order to calm themselves. What's the difference between OCD and being a stickler for routine? Really, I only think the person that can decide that for you is yourself, or if you'd like their opinion and trust it, a trained medical professional. If you feel like certain behaviors are something you must do, they might be compulsions, especially if not completing them gives you extreme anxiety. I've included resources down below with links that might help you self-evaluate. So what about me and OCD? When I was 7 to 8, I started experiencing these compulsions such as not stepping on cracks, and in the shower I would be 30 seconds in water, 30 seconds out of the water, and when I was in public, like let's say I saw a can of soup at Kroger's that was misplaced, I would have to go and rearrange whatever item was misplaced until it was exactly perfect. I would stop on almost every aisle. It drove my mom wild. Actually, no, it didn't. Moms don't care about you in grocery stores. They're just free to leave you. But if I didn't do these certain actions, my head would just be pounding, and at the time I didn't know that was anxiety. It would just kind of feel like a panic attack, and my brain was numb. And over the years, these feelings actually pretty much subsided until about 1 to 2 years ago when I was in my senior year of high school. So quick timeline here. For several years after that, the feelings kind of subsided, and then when I was 15, I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder and major depression. Fun, right? So I was around 16 to 17, so about 1 to 2 years after that diagnosis, and I started getting these compulsions again. It started in the shower, and when I was washing my face and my body, I would have to do things in 15-second increments. Otherwise, I would just lock up with fear and I would have a panic attack, basically. So when I wash my face, it's 15 splashes warm water, 15 splashes cold water. When I wash my body, it's 15 seconds. When I wring out my loofah, I have to do it 15 times. And as routinely OCD as that might sound, a lot of my obsessions actually revolve around this good and bad dichotomy. I compulsively do things either because I physically have to, or I'll literally just stop working, or because it gives me anxiety and thinking that something else during my day or week or month or year will go wrong if I don't do this, silly as it sounds. An example of it physically would be sometimes when I hear certain sounds or picture certain textures, I have to grind my teeth, and that was really a problem. I actually started chipping my teeth. But that problem has pretty much subsided for now. I also have a list of repeated phrases I say before I shower and before I go to bed in hopes that it will keep me safe. And I know that makes no logical sense, but it consumes my body. Like, if I don't do this, I feel like the worst of the worst is going to happen to me and I just have a panic attack. Some people take antidepressants to deal with OCD, but the most popular treatment method is, in fact, behavioral therapy, which basically is torture because all you have is you and this body that completely does not want to listen to you and makes you feel trapped and like you can't control yourself, which really sucks because it's your own brain. You want to be able to have some agency over yourself. And I think the fact that people on average wait 14 years before seeking OCD treatment because of the fear, shame, and embarrassment that often comes with considering the possibility you have OCD really says it all. So how does the media handle OCD? About as well as you'd expect. So the poster children for OCD are, of course, white men, but representation is so minimal that it's not really like there's an abundance of OCD characters to comb through when you're looking for diversity. And like I said before, while obsessive cleaning or hygiene preferences can be part of OCD, it's not the only form it takes. Fanon and canon OCD is just kind of treated like a quirk, and also, the label is sometimes assigned to people who just like cleaning. Well, I guess you could headcanon Monica from Friends as OCD or Danny Tanner from Full House as OCD. The show never explicitly states they have OCD, it's just kind of a gag you laugh at. And I can't believe I have to mention The Big Bang Theory in 2015, but here we are. Sheldon shows ritualistic symptoms of OCD, but as I talked about in my ACE video, Sheldon isn't exactly a vessel for representation. He's more so used for the audience to poke fun at and cast their own judgment upon people society deems weird. Also, Glee did an offhanded short arc with Kurt having OCD, but it was kind of never mentioned again. Now, to be fair, Kurt wasn't exactly into solely cleaning OCD, but that's probably because Glee has always had a supporting character, Emma, experience OCD of the cleaning variety in a very cliche and not entirely accurate portrayal. So when the media's portrayal of OCD is as something that controls a character's entire life, or as ritualistic cleaning that is never explicitly said to be OCD, it negates the fact that a lot of people live with OCD and you would never know. They manage it on their own. And a lot of people you wouldn't even know to think they have OCD because everyone has told us that OCD is just ritualistic cleaning and hygiene. How can you help spread awareness about OCD? I think the answer is pretty obvious here. If you don't have OCD, don't say, I have OCD, or I'm so OCD. You can say, I'm such a perfectionist, or I'm so nitpicky, or I'm so type A. Not everyone with OCD is super neat. In fact, hoarding can be a symptom of OCD. And OCD, and by OCD I mean the realistic and diverse OCD the media often neglects, is something we as a society should talk about more. I mean, it's estimated that 1 million Americans alone, that's negating every other country in the world, have OCD. When someone on Twitter, Tumblr, or YouTube is talking about OCD, especially if there's someone with OCD, it only takes about 5 seconds to share and spread the educational word. Also, that information being spread might help someone struggling realize that there's a name for what they're experiencing. This is the first mental health topic I've touched on my channel. Yay! And I think I'd like to do more videos surrounding things like depression, anxiety, and eating disorders. I know those topics are covered a lot, but one, I don't want to speak on any illnesses that I don't have, and two, I'm sure I can find a way to put a feministy twist on things. So if you don't mind me asking, do any of y'all have OCD, and are there any steps towards OCD representation you would like to see? As always, I'm the Feminist, and I'll see you soon.